Here, what's poppin', people? It's your boy Bone back again with another episode today. So today, we're finally gonna talk about how to cast a baitcaster. This is something that's very important to get used to doing, learn how to do if you wanna be a bass fisherman. Yes, you can use a spinning rod for a plethora of different applications, but there are some things that you just cannot throw on the spinning rod. You need a bait caster to do it effectively. And that's really the moment where I realized that I needed to learn how to do a bait caster, is because there was a lot of things that I just don't throw on a spinning rod. Like a frog, for example. That's something you just don't do. In part one, we talked about film room and field work. This will be the field work portion of learning how to bass fish, pretty much. Learning how to cast. So today we're going to talk about the components of a bait caster, at least what you need to know in order to learn how to cast, and how it works, and then how to get started out. So yeah, let's go ahead and hop into it. All right, so first things first, like I said in the last video, you don't want to, well, I would suggest not starting out at the lake. I would find you an open field somewhere where you got plenty of space. As you can see today, I'm out here at a baseball field. There's nobody out here but me. There's plenty of space to throw my lure too far that way, too far this way, and no one get hurt. And I can just go get my lure if it gets stuck on something, or reel it back in and cast it again. No harm, no foul. Also, one key thing that you might notice is I'm a little bit elevated from the field below me. I prefer that just because you can kind of see what you're doing better when you're casting, and it more so simulates what you're going to be when you get out to the water, because a lot of times you're going to be here and the water's going to be there. So especially when you're back fishing. So that's just a few key things to remember when you're starting to learn how to cast, or when you're picking your spot to cast. If you don't have a hill to stand on, that's cool. Maybe find a chair or something that you can elevate yourself up a little bit off the ground. It just helps. So first things first, you want to talk about the reel. On the reel, you have a few different things that are very important when you start fishing to kind of minimize your backlashes. First thing I would suggest starting off with monofilament line instead of fluorocarbon, just because it's a little easier to get backlashes out on mono than it is on fluorocarbon. I say that, but me personally, I'm hard-headed, so I started with fluorocarbon because I wanted to learn how to get out backlashes that were difficult, not easy. So I just kind of wanted to simulate what was going to actually happen when I got into it. Did it cause me some headaches? Of course, but in my mind, if I was going to have backlashes anyway, I might as well learn how to get them out with fluorocarbon. So you do have an option. You can do monofilament if you want to take the easy road, but if you you like a challenge like me, just go ahead and start out with fluorocarbon, not braid. Do not start out with braid, because just don't do that. Trust me on that. Fluorocarbon or mono. Whenever you figure out which one you want to do, start with that. So when you first start, you want your bait to fall a little bit slow. Like, this is where I like it now, but I would tighten it up when you first starting. So to tighten it up, you want to turn this knob right here that way. If you want to tighten it up, it's basically like clamping down on it. Imagine that. So you make it turn it that way. Now when you let it go, it doesn't fall. You're gonna shake it, it still doesn't fall. That's not really what you want. So you want to back it off. You want to click that back over, and then back it off by turning it towards you, just a hair. Like, you really don't take that much. Now click it, and you see it'll fall. With a little shake of the rod tip, you'll see it'll fall down. That's kind of what you want. You stop it with your thumb. All right. When you first starting out, this is a good tension setting for when you first starting out. Now, your drag kind of don't matter right now, to be honest, because you're not fighting the fish. So your drag being tight, it really don't matter. You just leave that kind of wherever it is. You can tighten it down all the way if you want to, but like I said, you're not catching no bass right now, so it kind of don't matter. What does matter is your brakes. So your brakes, depending on what type of reel you got, I need to clean this reel, good Lord. But depending on what type of reel you got, depending on what type of brakes you got, I would suggest selecting a reel where you can adjust your brakes like this. That's what I would suggest. This will be all the way closed or open. It'll be 1 through 10, 1 through 5, whatever. As you can see, this reel kind of old, so there ain't no numbers on here no more. I just know. This is all the way open. This is all the way closed, right? When you're first starting out bass fishing, you pretty much want your brakes to be all the way closed. You want it to have a maximum braking when you first starting out. Why? Because it minimizes backlashes for you. Are you gonna get a bunch of distance out of your cast? No. But when you first start out casting, distance does not matter. You wanna get your technique right, and the distance will come over time. Just kind of let that happen. It's kind of hard to do that because you're gonna be watching people on YouTube, but they're gonna be casting a lure very far. You can be like, dang, I wanna do that too. Just give yourself time. You will be able to do that, but it just might take some time. Take the slow road, not the fast road. That's all I'm saying. Now, brakes all the way down. Now, what I would suggest is using a frog. The reason why I suggest using a frog instead of any other bait, it's soft. So if it does hit something, it's not gonna really hurt the bait or whatever it hits. You can tuck the hooks in, like I've tucked the hooks inside the frog so that it's not gonna get hooked on anything, including the grass. You can do this, or you can put some duct tape around it, like electrical tape, whatever you wanna do around the hooks, so that way it doesn't hook anything. But I would suggest a frog. Now this is a frog that I accidentally stripped the barbs off of. This is like a $9 frog. Don't get a $9 Pro frog. Go to Bass Pro Shop, find you a little $2, $3 frog that you can practice casting with, a little 3/8 ounce. Something that you're not gonna use in real life. This is just for casting practice. That's all you need. That's what I started with. That's what I would suggest starting with, because it's the most safe proof and it gives you the most realistic feeling thing that you're gonna cast. Whenever you start casting, you'll know what I mean. But it's just a good thing to start with, is the frog. That's what I would suggest. Okay, so you got your frog, you got your rod and reel, which I will make a video about which rod and reel to get. And then you tie your frog on with a Palomar knot, because that's the easiest knot to tie in my opinion. All right, so Palomar knot, easy knot. Give yourself enough slack, or enough line I should say. Put that down, stand close to the rod tip so you can have a lot of wiggle room. Anyway, here's what you do. Palomar knot, what you do is you take your line. Now you can double your line over and then fish it through the hole like that. But what I like to do is just push it through. Make it go through there, pull it out a little bit, pause, and then come back through the other way. All right, boom. To get back through there, now you grab your tag in and your main line, and then now you have a loop on this end. Now you got a loop, right? Let that fall kind of midways the loop. Want to give yourself a good amount of line. If you don't have enough, what you do is you can grab here, and then pull the bottom line away, like to your left. That'll give you some more wiggle room in line. All right, so now this is probably a good amount. Drop that right down in the middle like that. Now what you do, you have here and you have here. So you take this side on your left, and then you place it over the top of your main line and your tag in your other hand. So it's here with it, right? Then you grab, you can keep them separate, but you still keep now you grab your main line and your tag in with your left hand, and then your loop in with your right hand, right? And that should give you this right here. Now what I like to do is grab both with this thumb and this index finger over here, and grab both lines. So now you have this, right? So what you do is, just like a regular overhand knot, you take this part and then you do underneath one time and you grab it with your thumb. Now you can let it go, and then you pull. Keep your main line and your tag in, and make sure you have that grabbed at all times. Then you pull a little bit. Now you take this and you make a big enough hole for your bait to get through. However you want to do that with your fingers. I like to use my thumb, my index finger, and then my middle finger to kind of guide it. You push your bait through that loop. Then you let it fall over there, and then you grab all your line in one hand. You kind of grab. I like to grab your bait right at the right at the hook hole, on the loop hole, and just kind of put your hand there to let it guide itself, right? Now you wet it. So now your knot, all your line is kind of wet right here, and then you just let go of everything except for your index finger and your thumb, and then you just pull like this. And then you just keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. Now you have your knot, right? Cool, it's done. It's done. That is it. I hope that made sense. I'll make another video on how to do a Palomar knot with bigger lines so you can kind of see what the heck going on for real. But that's it. And then you take, I like to fold my main line over so I don't get confused as to what line I need to cut. Leave your tag in out here. Just cut it. Bam. Leave your little whisker out there. It's okay to leave a whisker when you're practicing and in real life when you're fishing. If a fish doesn't eat your bait because of this, they were never going to eat it in the first place. So you're good. And that's that. That's how you tie a Palomar knot. I suggest a Palomar knot because, like I said, it's a pretty easy knot to tie. It's a good knot to kind of get used to tying knots with, right? You can cast it out. Your bait's not going to fly off. You're good to go. You ain't got to worry about setting a hook right now anyway. So you're good. All you need right now is something to hold your bait on there. You got your frog tied on now, and you got your settings right on here. Finally, here we are at what to do to cast. Thing to remember about a Baitcaster is everything is controlled with your thumb, right? Your thumb is what controls everything, right? If you're right-handed, you probably want to cast with your right hand. If you're left-handed, you probably want to cast with your left hand. It's pretty simple, right? Boom. If you're right-handed, do not worry about left-hand casting yet. Like, don't even worry about that. If you're left-handed, don't worry about right-hand casting yet. You're gonna get used to switching hands. That's cool. Cast right, cast it out, switch to your left hand, and start reeling. That's what you do. So, thumb control, right? Thumb control is basically the bait is when you click the clicker over, there's nothing stopping your bait. Right now the tension is tight, so it's not gonna fall. But when your bait starts falling, the only thing to stop it is your thumb, right? So let me demonstrate that again. When the bait falls, the only thing to stop it, once you click it up, once you hear that click, it's game time. Like, there's nothing controlling your line except for your thumb once you click that clicker, right? Click the clicker, my thumb is keeping it from moving at all. When you let my thumb off, it starts falling. Then I stop it again with my thumb, right? That's what you want to practice doing. Like, literally this, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb. Switch hands, reel it back up, click it, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb. Just repeat that probably about 20 times before you make a cast. Click the clicker over, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb. All right? Click the clicker over, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb. Keep going. Click the clicker over, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb. Switch hands, reel it back up. Click the clicker over, let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb, switch hands, keep reeling. All right, so you wanna do that literally like 20 times a day. If you go down rabbit holes like me, I probably did it like 100 times a day when I first started. But when you first get out there, you wanna get used to that muscle memory. Let the bait fall, stop it with your thumb, click it over, right? Now, first, don't worry about aiming at anything, just worry about casting in front of you and not getting the backlash. That's what you want to start off with. So when you first start out, you're going to be a little timid because you don't want to get a backlash. So you're going to probably make a little cast like that. Okay, cool. How do you do that though? When do you let go of your thumb to get a good cast, right? I suggest starting out doing a sidearm cast. That's probably the most natural feeling way to cast a bait. And you want to let your bait go around here, right? Before your bait crosses all the way past your body, when you come here, you want to let your bait go around here, right? This is when you want to let your bait go here, here, right? Let me click this over. So imagine that this clicker is open, so the spool is free right now. And imagine that in your head. So when you let go of your thumb, you want to let go here. 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 You don't want to let go all the way over here, because then the bait's going to go that way. You don't want to let your bait go all the way back here, because then your bait's going to go that way. You want to find a sweet spot in here, right in this range right here is where you want to let your bait go, right? And one over there. That's fine. That's okay. Because right now, like I said, you're not aiming. You just want to get used to clicking your clicker, rearing back, letting your bait go, and it goes in front of you. That's what you want to get used to doing. Reel over, do it again. Cast out, boom. Do that probably about 30 times. All right, reel back, let go. You want to get used to your release point. So your release point is like here, maybe here, or here. Somewhere in here is your good range for your release point. Now, how do you have this arm? You want to keep this arm. You don't want to cast with this arm all flailing. You want to keep it steady. You want to be able to like hold something here and still cast without letting it go. That's a good way to start off, right? You can let it fall. You can release your arm from your body.
Angela Lee, Angela Yee, damn. DJ Envy, Angela Yee, and Charlotte McGay.
Almost wait until the bait hits the ground, right? So you want to keep your arm pent to your side, reel back and cast out, and then boom. All right, it's gonna look funny, it's gonna feel funny, and that's okay. And that's not how you're gonna cast forever, right? But this is how you want to get used to casting to get your mechanics right. That's what we're doing right now, getting our mechanics right. That's all we're worried about. So arm pent to your side, rear back, cast it. Arm pent to your side, rear back, cast it, right? This is a good way to get your form right. It's gonna feel weird, but keep your arm pent to your side, rear back, cast it, all right? That's what you wanna do. Now, after about a couple of days of doing that, you'll probably get used to it, and then you can kind of just, boom, kind of let your arm come up and kind of guide the bait where you want it to go, all right? Well, for now, we're not worried about direction. This is what you wanna do for like the first week. I'm not even lying. Just go out there and just practice casting like that. Again, you're not gonna cast your bait far, and that's okay. You just wanna practice casting and get your mechanics right. Now, next step, how to stop your bait. That's also what you wanna concentrate on, is how to stop your bait before it hits the water or the ground in this instance. You don't wanna hit the ground hard. That's not what you want when your bait drops over there. You don't want your bait to hit the ground like that. You want your bait to hit the ground like this. See the difference? How they just placed it right there, and this one just popped. What I like to concentrate on when I first started was letting my bait hit the ground without bouncing. Because at first, it's gonna hit the ground and it's gonna bounce up like that. All right, that's just, you're not used to stopping the bait yet, and that's okay. But after a while, it's still gonna bounce, really, but it's still gonna bounce because it's grass. But you don't wanna hear it hit the ground. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. How do you do that? You stop your bait with your thumb a millisecond before it hits the ground, and your rod tip is pointed at your bait. So you cast it out there and let your rod tip see your bait hit the ground, and then right before it hits, you stop it with your thumb. Let me back up. I forgot a very important thing. When your line is coming out of your spool, right? Me personally, when mine goes out, my thumb it pretty much comes all the way off the spool. But that's because I'm experienced. When you first start, you're gonna be nervous to take your thumb off the spool, first of all, because you're gonna feel like you're gonna backlash, and you probably are gonna backlash if you do that. So what you wanna do, you wanna keep your thumb, is what's called feathering your spool, which is basically like, you don't want to be pressed down the whole time you're casting, because your bait's not going to go anywhere. But you want to feel the line running under your thumb without any pressure. That's how I would say feathering it would be. And what that's going to do is to keep your line from like getting loose and bunching up and causing the bird's nest. It'll pretty much backlash bird nest, same thing. It'll pretty much just come through pretty slick, like I'm feathering it now. Like I'm not stopping it from moving, but I can feel it going under my tongue, right? That's kind of what you want to do when you're casting first off. So when you click it, it's full tension, right? And as soon as you get to your release point, you don't want to just let your thumb all the way up. That's how you get a bird's nest. What you want to do is transition from a firm press to feather as you're casting. So click down here, back up, rear back, feather, all the way out. Click back, thumb press, feather, right? Rear back up, feather. That's what you want to get used to first before you start doing them casts I was talking about earlier. You really want to get your thumb control under control. Your thumb control is the main thing that helps you cast a bait caster well. If you got good thumb control, you can prevent backlashes a lot. If you don't have good thumb control, you will backlash a whole lot. So that's why it's important to keep your thumb feathered on the spool the whole time when you're first starting out. Again, you're not going to cast far, and that's okay. You want your mechanics to be right. That's what you want. One thing I did not talk about earlier that I meant to talk about was how to hold your reel. I hold my reel, I put this trigger part in between my pinky and my index finger. So right here, this is where this rests. Everything else just kind of falls on the reel. I have my index finger kind of right here on the reel, or right here, somewhere in there. My thumb somewhere around this area. The thumb on the spool, right here, just somewhere resting right here. So you got your pinky and your ring finger kind of around this trigger right here, and then everything else kind of just collapses on the rod naturally, however you feel like doing it. But this is how I hold my reel. You can hold your reel however you want to. Some people like to hold it like this, where there's nothing behind the trigger, and they just feel comfortable like that. Some people hold it like this. They don't even pretty much have their hand on the reel except for the thumb. It's just kind of like this. My dad actually kind of holds it like this. I can't do that. I need to have full control over the reel, so I do like this. Yeah, you want your mechanics to be right. That's what we focused on right now, not distance. So like I said, rear back, cast out, thumb on the spool. Cool, didn't go that far, that's okay. Rear back up. Open it up, cast, thumb on the spool, stop it right before it hits the ground. Cast, feather spool, stop it right before it hits the ground, repeat. You just want to do it, rinse and repeat, bro. Rinse and repeat. That's what we're doing today. We're rinsing and we're repeating. Like, that's what we're doing. So you want to do that. That's what you want to rinse and repeat. All the steps I just said, you want to do that every day. Literally every day. Literally every day. Okay, if there's 7 days in a week, at least 5 to 6 of them, you need to get 30 minutes minimum of casting in. 30 minutes, you're going to go by like that. Chances are you end up being out there for like an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, depending on how hot it is. 30 minutes minimum, 6 days out of a 7-day week, 5 to 6 days, depending on what's going on. Every week, that's what you want to do. And then you'll see yourself start to progress. Now, if you follow that process I just said, by the time you get to about week 3, then you'll probably be able to start directing your bait kind of where you want it to go. This is the next level of bass fishing and learning how to cast, is putting it where you want to put it. You learned the mechanics, now you want to put it where you want to put it, okay? How do you do that? Again, I'm a football guy, sports guy. How do you get good at getting your good footwork? Cone drills. So what do I have? Cones. I'm just saying. What do I do with the cones? Well, with the cones, you walk out here, and then you kind of line up something that's right in front of you. Now you should know about how far you be casting. I'm gonna just say this is probably about, what, 50 feet, 30 feet, I don't know. Boom, put one there, you put one here. Okay, cool, that's like right in front of you, right? And you come over here, to the right of where you're gonna be standing at, and you put one here. Then you probably put about 3 feet in between. There you go, boom. And then you're gonna put you some over here. to your left, casting to your left. Here, and then here. Boom, right? And then when you get fancy, or when you start feeling yourself, you can put one a little bit further, and then here, right? I don't like when cones are upside down, so just flip this. Want to flip it. You got to flip it before you stick it. So as you can see now, I have some cones set up to my right, pretty much right in front of me, and then to my left, right? Directional casting is what we're gonna call this drill. Directional casting, not distance. This is for accuracy. This is not for making 60 yard, 80 yard, 90 yard casts. This is for making a quick 20 yard cast accurately. All right, 10, 20 yard cast accurately. That's what this is for. After the first 3 weeks, you've done your due diligence and you've gotten to the point where you think you can do this. So now you cast and you come out here and you say, all right, in 10 tries, I want to get at least 2 in between them cones. That's your goal for today. And that's for each cone. You do that and you keep doing it until you get your 2. Get your 2 here, cool, bet. Get your 2 here, cool, bet. Get your 2 there, cool, bet. And you keep going back and forth. Go back and forth, go back and forth, go back and forth. You want to do 3 sets, basically. So 3 sets of 10 over here to get 2. 3 sets of 10 over here to get 2. 3 sets of 10 over here to get 2. You want to cast 10 times. Even if you get to 2 on your second cast, you still want to do 10 more casts to that spot. Your goal is just 2. So if you get 8 out of 10, that's a great day. But your goal for the day was 2. 10 casts there, 10 casts there, 10 casts there. Repeat 3 times each, right? So cast out there. Oh, dang, I missed. All right, cool. It's okay. You got 10 tries to get it right, right? Cast out there again. Dang, I missed again. I don't even know what happened with that. That was a bad cast. It's okay. Cool. Now you got 2 down. All right. Dang, still missed. Too far that time. But I got further. That's good. This is the things you're thinking in your head while you're casting, right? Like, all right, I think I got it this time. Almost, but that way it was too short. Dang, how am I gonna get it there? It's cool. I got it between them, but it was too far. All right, cool. I need to get it right between them. Bop. Too short. All right, now I'm in with it was at like 8. I got 2 more chances. Bomb. All right, almost there, but I stopped it a little too quick. So that's good. It's right there in the middle, pretty much. I got it in between them, not more than okay. If you get it within 2-3 yards of the front of it or the back of it, you can technically count that. But you really want to get it right there in the middle of them. That's what you want to do. Okay, cool. That's the right side. Now middle is a little easier usually. By first try. Cool. But you still do 10. Let's imagine you do 10 more to that. Cool. You got done with that. You got your 2. Now this one. Bomb. That's good. It's not directly in between, but it's within a couple inches of the cones. So that one would actually count. Be lean on yourself. But then you want to get a better one. Bomb. Right in the middle. Right? That counts. So you just keep doing that and just practice. That's how you get your accuracy good. Set cones up or pine cones if you don't have no actual cones. 2 leaves. Maybe cups of water, whatever you want to do to create your area for you to cast in, that's what you want to do. Whatever works best for you. This is just what best for me. $5 cones, you can put them out wherever you want to, set your own targets, woo, woo, woo. That's the sidearm cast. You want to practice that, and that's how you want to practice every day. Set your cones up, and that's for the next 3 weeks. That's what you do for the next 3 weeks. All I said 3 weeks because my favorite number is 3, and I just did everything in 3 week increments. It just worked for me. So that's what I'm telling y'all to do. So now you're about the 2 month mark almost. So now you've been practicing casting for 2 months. So you should be getting the hang of it at that point. Now, the scary part, overhand cast. The reason why it's important to then learn overhand cast, so you want to learn sidearm and you want to learn overhand. Because those are two main things you're gonna have to do when you go out fishing. Whether you're bait fishing and you in a tight spot and you like, dang, I can't really go either way. Left, I can't really cast I can't cast this way. There's a tree right here, bushes, whatever it is, you can't do this and get your bait out there. So you need to know how to do this and get your bait out there. But I would suggest doing that after you got a good basis of how to do the sidearm. That's what I would suggest. Or if you go fishing with somebody, luckily, and they invite you out and you in the back of the boat, they got power poles, you cannot do this with power poles on the back. All right, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna have to live right here. Maybe right here, but more than likely it's gonna be right here. This was the most difficult cast for me to learn because my bait would go straight up in the air every time. I couldn't figure it out. It would either go straight up in the air or straight down to the ground and cause a backlash. It was very frustrating for me. How I learned is two things. One, when you first do it, you're naturally gonna wanna do this, right? Your reel is directly straight and you're gonna wanna do that. And that's probably what's gonna happen. Exactly what just happened just there, right? Now you got a backlash. Pull your backlash out. Keep pulling your backlash out. You wanna feather the spool while you're pulling the backlash out. Now when you got it out, click that. You wanna hold your line right here. Do that. That kind of makes it straight going into the spool. Anything that's that's getting tangled up, is you get tangled up on this side, and then when it gets past your fingers, it'll be straight going into here, so you don't have no mess ups. So boom, reel that back up. Got that out. Okay, now we're good to go. The best thing to do instead of just doing it like this is as you let go, turn your reel vertical. This is how you want it to leave your hand, vertical. You don't want to leave your hand like this, you want to leave your hand like that. So you can just cast like that. You can just start the whole cast like this. You could do here and then rotate it that way if that helps, but for me, I just start here and do it like that. It helps it come off the spool easier for you. Now, at what point do I let my thumb go? So at what point do I release my thumb so my bait can go that way? Randy Moss taught me that it's like shooting a gun. So when you shoot the gun, you and then point at where you want to go. So wherever you point your rod tip at is where your bait is going to go when you get done. That's for sidearm and for overhand, but that's the mental that was told to me. That helped a little bit, but for me, it was just a muscle memory of when to let it go. You want to let it go, not here, not here. You want to let it go about right here. That's what you want to do. You want to let it go somewhere in here, right? If you let it go too soon, like I said, it's going to go straight up. If you let it go too not soon enough, it's going to go straight down. So you definitely don't want to get all the way down here before you let it go. You want to get somewhere in this range here. I would say between, 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Somewhere between 11 and 1 o'clock up here. That's when you want to let it go. So click it over, you rear back, and then you let it go, right? And then it goes straight in front of you. That's what you want to do. Same mechanics as the sidearm, just a different release angle. So again, you want your rod to be turned this way. You click it, you rear back, let it go at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. There you go. That's how you overhand cast. So this, I can't stress enough about turning your reel this way and then casting. I can't stress that enough, right? I know this is a longer video, but this is one of the videos where you're gonna wanna watch. So just bear with me. The key thing to remember when you're casting in general, that's if you're flipping, pitching, sidearm, overhand, backhand roll cast, whatever cast you're doing, when you let your bait go, you wanna let it go with certainty that you meant to cast it. You don't wanna let it go like, I think I wanna cast it, but I'm not sure. Backlash will happen every time. You don't want to hesitate when you're casting. You want to cast it like you meant to, all right? You want to cast it with conviction is what I was told. But essentially, you just want to cast it out there without thinking twice about it. You want to look at your target, see your target, rear back, and cast it to your target. You don't want to sit there and on your cast, you like scared and you like, backlash. What happened? Trust me. The key to bass fishing is confidence. You want to cast with confidence. You want to know what you're doing with confidence. You want to set the hook with confidence. You want to fight your fish with confidence. Everything in bass fishing you want to do is confidence. If your confidence is dead, you're not going to do good. You have to build your confidence up in everything to be good at bass fishing. But yeah, man, I know that was a long video. Hopefully you were able to follow along and get some gems for you to use when you're learning how to cast a baitcaster. That's what I'm hoping you guys get from this video. One last tip I'll give for this video. I tell you what my dad told me when I told him I want to learn how to cast a baitcaster. He said, all right, son, if that's what you want to do, that's great. You don't own a spinning rod anymore. Until you learn how to use a baitcaster, get rid of all your spinning rods. Which at the time I didn't have any, so he just said, only use that. Every day, you just take that with you every day. You use that every day. You don't even look at a spinning rod or anything else at all. Because if you go to the water with a spinning rod and a bait cast option, you're going to pick the spinning rod up because it's easier. Leave it at home, don't use it. When I first started, I started out with a spinning rod because I was scared of the bait caster. I was going to try to figure out how to bass fish without it. I learned real quick that's not I'm not set up for that. That's not how bass fishing works. That's just, it is what it is. So I took my spinning rod that I purchased. I had 2 of them actually. I took them back to Bass Pro Shop and traded them both in for this exact combo. This was in 2020. I still got this combo. All my guys are still here. It's a little dirty, but it still functions like it was the first day I got it. It's a Lube Speed Stick combo. 7 foot, medium heavy. Can't go wrong with that. Just go buy a Baitcaster setup, bait cast, rod and reel. Buy that, and then that's where you live at. You only need 1 or 2, but when you're first starting out, 1. Just get 1. Although if you fish with 1 and you get to the lake and you still only got 1, you'll have to retie a lot, but that's okay because you need to learn how to tie knots as well. So when you're first starting out, just get 1 Baitcaster. I would say somewhere in the 150, 160, 125 range. Don't cheap out. Get something that's mid-price range in the mid to low hundreds to kind of get you in the game, right? Chances are if you do that, you're gonna have at least moderately decent quality rod and reel. That'll get you in the game, get you started. But key things to remember from this video, make sure your tension is tight, make sure your brakes are locked all the way down, make sure you expect to get backlashes. As a matter of fact, a lot of your casting practice will be spent getting a backlash out. It's gonna suck. It is going to suck. It is going to be trash, but that's okay. It's part of the process. Allow it to happen, get through it, you'll be better for it on the other side. Brakes tight, tension tight, drag don't matter, and yeah, man, just get out there and practice it. Remember to feather the spool with your thumb when you cast it out there. I would not suggest casting with 1 hand starting out. I would suggest casting with 2 hands. 1 hand here and 1 hand on the butt of the rod, controlling where you go with it. I didn't say that earlier, so let me put that in here now. This hand right here is your best friend. This is what gives you your power, right? This is what gives you your power when you're casting out. You saw me doing it, but I didn't explain it. So when you rear back, it's like I barely moved this arm when I did that. I just disguided it and I'm pulling back with that. It just naturally goes that way, right? It's just, whatever you do with your butt of the rod, the top is gonna go the opposite direction, like a seesaw. So, you know what I mean? This is what gives you your torque when you're casting. Late on that one, but that's also very important. Grab the butt of your rod, and then use that as your guide for when you're casting, right? But anyway, those are things you want to remember when you get out there. Be patient with yourself. You're gonna get backlashes. Make sure you feather your spool with your thumb. Eventually with your thumb, you're gonna be able to feather it less and less when your thumb control gets better. And then that's when your distance will start to get into play. But I wouldn't let yourself get used to feathering the spool the whole time that you cast it. Never take your thumb off the spool when you first start out. Whenever you start wanting to get some distance, that's when you can start kind of letting it come off a little bit. But then it'll be kind of like at the very beginning and in the very end. But that's advanced. Starting out, feather your spool the whole time. So tension tight, brakes locked down, feather your spool when you're casting out. Use the butt of your rod in your left hand or right hand, depending on which one the opposite one holding the reel. use that to cast out. Expect backlashes, 30 minutes a day minimum, 5 to 6 days a week. That's all I got for you. You do those things, you will learn how to cast a baitcaster. Is it gonna suck? Absolutely. It's gonna take a while? Absolutely. Is it gonna be worth it in the end? Absolutely. So that's my time for today. I hope y'all got something from this video. If you did get something from this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share it out to somebody you might know. Leave a comment to let me know something that you might want me to talk about in the LBF series. But again, this is the LBF Learning Bass Fishing series. This is part 2, learning how to cast a baitcaster. Till next time, I'm out. Yee!